Well, the walls are closing in for Canelo team. Eddie Reynoso, his gym. Lots of questions, lots of controversy, corruption, all the C's. We're going to talk about that in this video. What up, Fight World? It's your boy, Ego, and I'm back with some more of that stuff. Make sure you guys do the usual. Subscribe to the channel. I drop the illest content in all of boxing. The latest and greatest. So make sure you're a part of that. Like, subscribe, and we're going to talk about the things that are going on right now in the world of boxing, namely in Canelo. Payday, you want payday, his gym. So Eddie Reynoso, he says something, and I thought it was very interesting, and we're going to jump right into the mix with that. So this is Canelo team. You see him and his fighter who just fought in Arizona, hometown fight. His face looks beat up. There's controversy as to if he really even won the fight, right? Eddie Reynoso, I'm just going to get into it. We'll talk about it. So Eddie Reynoso responded to a reporter. Reporter Keith Eidick says, and props to Andre Ward for calling out Eddie Reynoso for not making himself available to answer any of the questions about his fighter, Oscar Valdez, testing positive for one of VADA's banned substances. So this reporter gave boxing analyst, former champion Andre Ward, SOG, he gave him props, saying good on Andre Ward for calling out Reynoso, because he didn't really speak to media when his fighter was facing immense scrutiny for testing positive, failing a VADA drug test, and they still allowed him to fight with Fettermine. Eddie Reynoso seen that, and he says in response to this, I chose not to give statements on this subject to any media to keep my boxer focused. But as of Monday, I am at your service to answer any questions you like. Cheers. And then he put the Mexico flag. So again, you're seeing the recurring theme. Every time the questions get tougher, you see Canelo team, people in this gym that happen to be Mexican ethnicity. They keep putting the Mexico flag, but that doesn't really solve or explain away what's being asked by the world of boxing. Very interesting stuff. Now, I have my own thoughts on this, and this is what I tweeted. Make sure you follow me at Boxingego, right? And I'll enlarge it for you guys to see. I said, how does the trainer speaking to media about a scandal cloud the mind of the fighter, especially when the fighter himself did an exclusive interview with Mark Kriegel, LOL. Wouldn't the trainer who wanted to not distract his fighter take on the tough questions instead then? No excuses, no life, right? So this is not making sense. You have Eddie Reynoso saying, hey, I wasn't answering the tough questions because I didn't want to distract my fighter. But the fighter himself was forced, or for whatever reason, Top Rank and ESPN, the network that hosted this, ESPN Plus, they decided to send Mark Kriegel and do an exclusive interview and sit down, and Oscar Valdez really couldn't provide any answers. But let me let you listen to an excerpt from that interview.
Oscar, you tested positive for phentermine, a stimulant prohibited by the Voluntary Anti-Doping Association. You don't have a prescription, do you?
No, I don't have no prescription.
How did it happen?
What I can say is that I'm a 100% clean fighter. I don't know how that got into my body. I know every fighter is responsible for whatever they consume. But on behalf of myself, I have no clear answer how that got into my body. I've always been and I will always be a clean fighter, so I have no serious question of how that got into my body.
So to me, that makes no sense, because everybody heard these interviews and listened to Oscar Valdez's response and like, yay, that's not acceptable, which is why Andre Ward said what he said about Reynoso not making himself available. So Eddie Reynoso's rebuttal saying, hey, I didn't want to distract my fighter, I was trying to keep him focused for fight week, doesn't make sense when the fighter himself did an interview and it's on ESPN And he's like, hey, I'm not a cheater. I'm not a cheater, guys. You know, I don't know why people are being hard on me. So if you really wanted to keep your fighter mentally in the fight, right, then why did you do this exclusive interview? It seems like the trainer instead would probably take on the tough questions so his fighter stays focused, tunnel vision on the task at hand. But instead, they made Oscar Valdez do an interview, and he looked worse when they did the interview. So I'm not really understanding Eddie Reynoso and Canelo gym, and the optics of it really don't look good, in my opinion. This is Oscar Valdez's face beyond the fight. That's the aftermath look. He had marks. My man said he had the Nelly Band-Aid on his cheek. His face looks tattered up. And the questions aren't really being answered by Team Canelo. So you said you wanted to keep your fighter free of distractions, but a lot of people, in fact, including Mexican legends like Eric Morales, they said that Valdez lost, and this was a robbery that they pushed forward through this fight and allowed him to fight with PEDs or a banned substance on the prohibited VADA list, and he was testing under VADA, and they allowed this fight to continue. So they said that was a travesty. And then you kept your fighter distraction free by pretty much throwing him to the wolves and having him do the exclusive interview where he couldn't really provide sustained, like, clear answers as to why he had this stuff in his system, which made him look bad. And then now he's saying he'll be made available for follow-up questions, but it's already too late. They let the fight happen. You know, it's just, I don't understand any of this and the way Canelo's team is moving with this whole Oscar Valdez. The point being, this fight really should have been canceled from the get-go. It shouldn't have been allowed. This is not setting a good standard for the sport of boxing, because the sport of boxing needs to be even Steven rules for everybody, no matter who the person is, no matter who you're connected to, who your trainer is. If the WBC likes you or the sanctioning body likes you, it has to be rules all across the board. Now, you can see online Oscar Valdez is getting blown up. He's getting absolutely blown up. People have questions, a lot of people calling for a robbery, and all Oscar Valdez really said was, hey, this ain't a robbery. I won the fight. The man was running. And this is becoming all too convenient. All too convenient. You have Canelo Alvarez, who was in the ring screaming because Oscar Valdez, and look, people were saying, bring more tea, and making jokes and stuff like that. So to me, look, you see racist fans hitting up people that thought Oscar Valdez lost or didn't perform. It says, you see it on the screen. You see it on the screen, right? So this is to me, it's a bad look. You fail for doping, you fail a drug test. The WBC still allows you, look, let's read this. All Conceição did was run. Robson Conceição outlanded Oscar Valdez 141 punches to Valdez's 83. Yeah, but Valdez landed the harder, cleaner punches. But Oscar Valdez was cut and swollen under both of his eyes, but the facial damage isn't how you score a fight. And obviously, he's like, huh? This doesn't make sense. Man, this is a bad look. And that's exactly what I told you guys on my stream. No matter how you guys try to make this look, this doesn't really look good. It looks like politics. It looks very politica. It looks like corruption and favoritism. No matter how you slice it, Oscar Valdez didn't look good. And I posted this. This is he's a runner starter kit. Fighters that always say so-and-so ran and things like that, why does their face look like this at the end of the fight? And they saying the other guy ran. This is the runner starter kit. Excuses. How to get out of and away with anything. This is he's a runner starter kit. Come on, man. We got to clean up boxing. And Eddie Reynoso saying he's available now, that's, to me, it's not really good enough. It's not good enough. You're available after the fight has already continued. And this is why fights like this shouldn't be pushed forward, because there's really not much for the fighter to gain in these situations, right? This is a Mexican reporter, and I've seen some of the racist fans, and they said like, oh, the black channels, they blaming me for the outcome. They saying that, oh, certain people and certain demographics are hating, black people and black channels are hating. But this is a Mexican reporter for ESPN, and he says they returned to save Oscar Valdez. During the week, it was a positive doping test. Tonight, he got savage from the judges' scorecards. He retains the WBC super featherweight title, but he loses part of his credibility he had gained against Miguel Bercho. So these are obviously people who just want to see the best for boxing, and this is not about race. Some people, race fans, make it about race, but the stats show you that it wasn't a good night for Oscar Valdez. And only in the sport of boxing do you have people who try this hard to protect certain fighters and to protect these lies. At the end of the day, how did Valdez do good? And the CompuBox numbers all favored and more than pretty much doubled in a lot of categories in particular rounds, Conceição. When you look post-fight, and I'm showing you pictures, and only one person's face looked crazy like this. The other guy's face doesn't look like this at the end of the fight. So what are we basing he ran and what are we basing our scorecards on? If you got out hustled, out volumed, the person threw more, landed more, and your face broke up more than that person's face. This is Oscar Valdez. I mean, this is just sad, and this is what happens in boxing. You see the games, and you see how hard certain fighters are protected, and how hard. Look, this is his opponent post-fight. Looked like he wasn't even in a fight. Good defense, ring generalship, and a lot was controlled by the jab. But like I said, Canelo's gym is looking hot right now. Look, this is his fighter. This is his opponent post-fight. So what exactly did Oscar Valdez do to win when he lost in pretty much every category? His face was cut, marked up. Like Lil Wayne said, face marked up like the subways in Harlem. You guys let me know that in the comment section. It's looking real ugly. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. Subscribe to the channel. I drop the illest content in all of boxing. Bad look. Bad look all around, from failed banned substance to people now believing it was a robbery. A lot of explaining is needed from Canelo's gym. Deuce. Are you tired of your YouTube videos not getting any views? Well, consider TubeBuddy. I've used TubeBuddy for years to scale up my YouTube channel. Now we're sitting over 200,000 subscribers. TubeBuddy is a browser extension that offers a ton of built-in productivity and time-saving services to take your channel to the next level. Use my link in the description to get started with TubeBuddy and level up your channel faster.